have some full coverage after all those late binge watching nights. May your under eyes be even and bright, and may all your concealers and powders be right. Hi friends, welcome to part 2 of the Emily Awards for 2018. Love this category so much. I think it's so important to the overall look of the makeup, and it's the concealer and powder video. I think we're all looking for that best concealer for us, and this is part of what makes me so excited about this multi-part series, is that I'm not just going to tell you, here's one great high-end concealer, here's one great drugstore concealer, but we're really going to break it down into different types, and hopefully this will help your decisions as you try to come up with what's going to work best for you. Just like with the last video, everything I mentioned is going to be listed and linked below in the description box. And yeah, let's get to it. First category is correctors. So I am looking at peachy correctors when I talk about this. I think that specific tone of corrector can be one of the most effective things for actually camouflaging dark circles or dark spots on your skin, whether that's melasma, sunspots, any kind of discoloration. I've dealt with stuff like that, and that's really been a blessing in disguise, or a blessing I'm trying to disguise, because I was able to learn how to actually cover up something major. I mean, there are times in my life where I've spent thinking, gosh, I just wish I had the most perfect flawless skin, but what does that teach me about makeup? Not a whole lot, really. So I don't mind having gone through my melasma phases, because it really taught me what covers up dark discoloration on the skin, and the peachy correctors are it. Not only for that, but like I said, for dark circles, anything that is a little bluish tone, grayish tone, little purpley tone, that peachy corrector is going to be your best friend. And here are my two powerhouses. Drugstore, high-end, I mean, they're both great. I got my Pixie Correction Concentrate. This is what you're going to find at Target. The shade is Brightening Peach. It's really, really up there with the peachy color intensity that the Benefit Erase Paste has, or Boing Brightening Concealer as it's now called. The biggest difference would be that I feel the Boing Brightening Concealer is a little more emollient, just a little more creamy. This is still a creamy product, y'all. It's not like dry, cakey concealer from a pot. I do think you're going to enjoy this stuff. It's going to be very corrective from a color perspective, but I think if on top of your discoloration, dryness is an additional concern, I would steer you even more toward the Boing Brightening Concealer. So Benefit has kind of redone their concealer line. They're calling everything Boing, and then they've got different types. So the Brightening Concealer is going to be your corrector type product. And then within that range, what also makes this unique on top of the Pixie is that they have different shades. Still peachy ones, but different depths. So number 2 is really what turns out to work best for me. There's a definite peachy tone in there, but I have also bounced toward the 3 for really dark discoloration. Heck, I got it handy. Let's just pull it out. See how it's got a little more richness to the peachy color? So if I'm really dealing with the deepest, darkest stuff, that can be an even more effective balancer of it, camouflager of it. But I think when darkness is a problem, I mean, we really do want to think, just give me the one thing that can completely like wipe it off the face of my skin. But I think you're better off if you can just acknowledge that it might be a 2-step thing, and you might need a little corrector first, and then when you go over that with a concealer, or pair these kinds of steps in with a really full coverage foundation, then you're going to have your flawless look. All right, I'm done preaching about peachy correctors. Now let's move on. We're going to talk about the category I'm just calling concealer. Maybe if you want to put a specific label on this, this would be like liquid concealers. Kind of just your standard concealer category, okay? And my top one from the drugstore is the Revolution Conceal and Define. This is some great stuff. I think the key is honing in on your proper shade. And my proper shade here is C5. And for me, this is a real skin tone match. And this can be so effective for quickly perfecting the under eye area, around the nose. I don't feel like it dries me out. When this came out, it was immediately compared to Shape Tape. It was called a Shape Tape dupe by a lot of people. To me, I've never said this was a Shape Tape dupe. I think it definitely takes a little more of this product to do what Shape Tape does. And on top of it, it's just not the same formula. Shape Tape is a great product, and I've really enjoyed it, but there is a quality to that product where it's gonna seem nice and creamy when you first put it on, but then it's gonna set. And I think the chief complaint about that product is that it may be a little drying for some people. So for me, this is not as drying. It can achieve the same coverage with a little extra product, and to me, that's really impressive. So I've enjoyed this as sort of that all-purpose concealer concealer. If I just need to grab for something, one thing, quickly get it done, this is awesome. Now for my high-end, just basic concealer in this category, I want to speak to those of you who are dry. Anybody dry in the house, this is gonna be your best friend. It's the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. This year, they repackaged it. It used to be in a squeezy tube. So if the title sounds familiar, it used to be in a tube and now they've put it in a doe foot applicator style packaging. I wear this in 20N Light and it is so nourishing. It is gonna be the kind of concealer that I'm gonna wanna set for sure. I would say conceal and define, maybe you wanna set it, maybe you don't really have to. This, I'm gonna wanna set it a little bit, but it is nourishing as can be. It is a thick, rich texture. If you've got a nice dense brush, this is actually the brush that Sephora sells to be used with this, and they are a really great pairing. I'm not saying you have to go out and seek out this brush, but find something really, really dense because it's surprisingly amazing for this very thick, rich formula. But the coverage is amazing. A little goes a long way. Little dots. Don't go painting this in a full-on triangle on the top of your cheek or else you're going to be in a goopy mess. Don't overdo it and you will be so satisfied. It's potent, y'all. Now I have a category for creamy concealer. Some of us like the consistency of concealers in pots or sticks, and I got a few of those to talk about today. And overall, you might see these as really good options for dry skin. For drugstore, I've got a tie actually this year. I've got one returning winner and another one that's like a rediscovered, oh my gosh, this has to be mentioned. So the CG Smoothers Concealer, which is not packaged in blue anymore, doesn't have that teal cap, but it's a stick concealer, looks like a lipstick. You might think, gosh, hasn't that been around a long time? I bet it's one of those dry, kind of cruddy, hard to use concealers. No, it's amazing. It's very smooth. It's very reminiscent of that CG plus Olay Concealer Balm, which probably was a way back Emily Award winner. I could see this particular stick actually suiting a lot of different skin types because while it is rich and creamy, I don't think it's too thick. So I think it's a great, great option. Great coverage, nice little spot concealer as well. But then there's also my Neutrogena Hydro Boost. And I think I may have misspoken my CoverGirl video. I was like, this is the best stick concealer in the drugstore. You know, I was having a moment and I kind of forgot about this one. But the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Concealer with Hyaluronic Acid, this is a stick concealer with a little like core in it of extra hydration stuff. Yep, getting technical here, extra hydration stuff. And this is sometimes something I've used as like a stick foundation in a pinch. It's, I think, even a little more creamy, a little bit more hydrating feeling than the CoverGirl. So if one of these was like an oily to normal skin option and one of these was a dry skin option, that's kind of the way I'd place these. I think drier skin could benefit even more from this Neutrogena stick. The coverage is great and it just looks so flawless and non-makeup-y on the skin. My high-end winner is a new one this year and it is the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. I have this in SX05 and this little pot is quite magical, I think. It's super duper potent, like it's just full of product there. As you can see, if you put your finger in it, you got stiff peaks. It is a rich, creamy consistency. A little bit definitely goes a long way. To me, it feels like it adds hydration to the skin. I see this as another good dry skin option. It doesn't go quite as far as that Maracuja Creaseless Concealer from Tarte does. Just as far as like pure under eye hydration, that stuff really does it. But this, I feel like a tiny bit can be sort of spread across the skin and really blend it out with a brush or a beauty blender so easily. And suddenly you've got this veil of coverage on your skin that's pretty impressive and you used hardly anything. And I feel pretty comfortable using this just about anywhere on my skin where I might need to cover something up. Although I think it is really strong in the under eye area. But if there's one word to describe this product, it is potent. And when you're all done blending this in, the surface of your skin will not look like makeup. It will look like skin. If you've done it right, if you've really gotten it nicely blended, it just looks like really good skin. Let's talk loose powders. Loose powders for me oftentimes are going to be mostly used as something to set my concealer, particularly the under eye area. I just feel like I can maintain a fresher look longer if I at least lightly set the area. I will experiment with baking from time to time too, and my powders that I'm going to give you in this category can do both. They can be applied lightly and give you a very satisfying look, or you can really go there and do the baking technique where you really lay down some powder, let it sit there, dust it away later. I'm not here to critique the technique you choose because you know your skin best and you understand what might be the best idea for you, but both of these products are repeat winners. They both won last year. My drugstore favorite is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair. Fair for my skin tone, but this does come in several skin tones. I choose this because it is nearly as good as the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Powder, which I love so much. This is the product that most frequently gets the word magic attached to it in my descriptions of makeup because a little bit does the job. I think it looks about as undetectable as a powder can look. I love setting under eye concealer with this, even if I just use a little dab of it. And the Maybelline, particularly in that fair shade, is so close to this. If I'm being super critical about it, I would say the Maybelline, when I put this on, I can tell that it's just a little more visible on the skin. Like I've set my under eye with the Maybelline today, and I can just see it a little bit more. And by see it, I'm not obviously literally seeing flecks of powder because it's been blended in, but it might make the texture of my under eye ever so slightly more visible, and this has, I think, maybe an added sort of smoothing quality to the skin. I don't know what that is exactly, but I'm always so pleased with the end result. For powder foundations, my drugstore favorite has already been an Emily Awards winner, and it's the LA Colors Mineral Pressed Powder. And this is probably one of the least expensive yet most luxuriously textured powders out there. Like if you touch this stuff, you're not going to be able to deny how good this is. Now I think there are some different things, maybe labeled mineral powder from LA Colors, maybe a couple cheaper things here and there that aren't exactly this, but you want the mineral pressed powder. It should run around $5. And I wear this in the shade Fair. The whole line runs a little dark. I have used this so much, have continued to use it since I first discovered it, to be that added perfecting step on top of regular foundation, or maybe I've just used concealer and then I can blend this in on top and use it exactly how it's been designed, as a powder foundation, and get that great coverage only pairing it with concealer. But it is buttery smooth. It is very nice coverage, yet it does not look cakey and dry on the skin. They really are doing something right with this formula, and it's one of those unsung hero, like why is nobody else talking about that kind of products. And then my high-end powder foundation, I'm going to call it a powder foundation, although the mineral crowd may say, no, it's mineral foundation. Well, okay, but it feels kind of like a powder. And it's Bare Minerals, the original foundation. Over the course of this past year, I've really had a rediscovery moment. And it's been not just with this product, but with the entire brand. Trying that Summer Bisque concealer again and the mineral veil, and realizing how I can achieve full coverage with this stuff and how beautiful it can look on the skin. I will definitely be linking below to my full video where I dive in deep to Bare Minerals. But this original foundation with the SPF 15 in medium beige is awesome for me. And I think a great sign of how good it is like I can enjoy it in the intended sense, like using this and only this, bringing in a small brush, using little bits of this to conceal and build it up, probably use it exactly as the brand intends you to do it, or I can pair it with some other concealer I'm loving at the moment, or make it kind of a companion on top of my favorite BB cream or tinted moisturizer and be so satisfied with the look. So yeah, I'm going to call this mineral foundation, powder foundation, for the sake of categorizing it in this video, but whatever it is, it's great. For pressed powder, my drugstore favorite is a returning favorite for the Emily Awards, and it's Milani's Prep Set and Glow. And this is only going to come in one shade. My other powder pick is going to be more of a traditional, like pressed powder, skin tone shades, all that stuff. But this says illuminating transparent powder, and I don't want you to take the word illuminating too far because it is super duper subtle. It is absolutely creamy to the touch, and it makes a great finishing touch for your makeup, guys. It's going to surprise you what this powder can do. It gives your skin like the slightest bit of a sort of pearlescent vibe, and I'll just put it on all over. But the sheen is so subtle. Like, think about how your skin looks when it's completely clean, and look at yourself in a mirror, and as you turn your head, is there a natural like sheen to your skin that it just has? Because that's just the texture of your skin, like it is going to catch light at times. We're not 100% matte beings, and so when you put some of this on top of your makeup, it's like you recapture that element of your natural skin. So that's why I love that product. And then my high-end favorite is this Your Skin But Better CC Plus Airbrush Perfecting Powder from IT Cosmetics. Love that it has that SPF 50 in here, but this has grown on me so much. It is one of the most intriguing descriptions. Sheer to full coverage finishing veil. Is it really full coverage? I'm not sure if it's the fullest of the full coverage, but it definitely can give you some coverage when you put your finger in it and then you rub your fingers together. You practically see that product becoming actually creamy. Like it's gone from powder and now it's feeling creamy between the fingers as you rub them together. It's such a good powder. When I want to look my absolute best, here's what I will do. Put my foundation on, whatever concealers, set my concealer. This makes your skin look so flawless on top of your foundation. Like if you are craving coverage, you're going to love pairing this with whatever foundation you use. But what I also love is on a lighter day when it's just concealer or just the BB cream acting as the primary first step, then I can apply a little bit of this too. And I feel like I've gotten extra evened out and mattified, but it's all in kind of the way you build it up and the way you apply it. I really love a product that gives you some range like that. So I wear this in medium and I think this is a great pressed powder option. But for me it was kind of like, what category does it go in? It could be powder foundation, definitely, but sometimes I do use it as that light sheer finishing veil. So for those varied purposes, I'll just call it pressed powder. Last category for this video is a coverage palette. And my two favorites this year are actually both high-end. I think they're both actually fantastic values for what you get. But with this category, I'm basically talking about a palette that incorporates some sort of multitasking capability that includes coverage with it. So it's not just a face palette full of powders, but it's got some concealer or some corrector in there. And so my returning favorite that also won last year is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Shape Shifter. One of the most brilliant packaging designs because there's so much going on in this small container here. And I was just playing with this yesterday and I was all reminded of exactly why I like this so much. Your 4 powders right here. This does come in a deeper skin tone option too. But you've got a couple of like matte contour shades, a light just standard pressed powder, a powder highlight, then on the other side your mirror flips around and you've got cream contour, you've got a cream like matte highlight, a cream shimmer highlight, and 2 tones of peachy correctors. They knew they were winning me over with peachy correctors. And oh, is that a magnetic closure I see? Yes. End of story. And then my other favorite though is this It Girl Beauty Book. This is the volume 2. This is a holiday item. I try not to really dive into a lot of limited edition stuff when I'm doing the Emily Awards because I want you guys to be able to find this stuff, but this is worth mentioning. They did a palette really similar to this last year and I did really like it, but this is even better. You've got 3 different shades of their Bye Bye Under Eye Pot concealers right up here at the top. They're giving you a pressed powder, a bronzer, a blush and lip colors, a highlight, and then a bunch of eyeshadows. So this stuff is all just kind of icing on the cake over here. I consider the combo of those concealers and that powder sort of your coverage stuff. And if you can get your hands on it, I think it's an awesome product. I will definitely link below to the video where I used that. Whew, what a video. There's so much to describe when it comes to concealer. So many little details, but I hope this was useful for you guys. I know everybody's always on the hunt for a great coverage product, so there's gotta be something in this video that'll suit your preferences, your price range, and that's why I love doing these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and our next one is going to be, let me check, just to make sure, bronzer, blush, and highlight. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon. Bye.